Now, power generation in Nigeria over the past few decades has suffered from corruption and mismanagement, leading to a near-stagnated energy supply. President Goodluck Jonathan is trying to renew confidence with the unbundling of the state electricity firm. However, closer inspection has raised questions about exactly how this pie is being divided and who is in line for a slice. Joining us from Lagos to unpack the transaction is the CEO of PowerGen, Mr. Tunde Bajumo. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, of course, you have extensive experience. You have acted as an advisor and you have served as an insider, if you like, to trying to reconstruct a new framework for how energy and the private sector in particular is brought in. From where you're sitting, is the allegation that the pie is being sliced in favor of the existing political elite a fair one?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to join you here at CNBC Africa. I think it's really unfair for people to allege that this is a corrupt process. The privatization of the power assets is a corrupt process because it's been led by very credible Nigerians. On the NCP side, is led by a gentleman called Atedo Peterside, who we all have a lot of respect for. And although some of the winners are said to be connected to past rulers. It's been a transparent process of technical evaluations and commercial bids that has been pretty open and transparent, and people have opened bids in the presence of media and so on and so forth. So I think it's really unfair for anybody to query that process without any substantial evidence. We have very, very credible winners now. All of 15 assets have been sold. I think that it's been a very fair process in all, I would say.
Now, of course, the whole question around the targets that have been set by the president, which is to increase over the next 7 years tenfold, the capacity. Is that a realistic target given the fact that you are coming off a low base and that, the restructuring process really still needs to get off the ground?
Well, I had the privilege of participating on the Vision 2020 program where this 40,000 megawatt target was set. In fact, I was very instrumental to setting that number. And it is quite realistic. We have the fuel resources to do it. What is really missing has always been a full commercial structure. Right. And this is what this current administration has been able to do successfully. You would find that the roadmap for power sector reform has set out strict guidelines as to how to develop and operate power projects in Nigeria. We now have all the relevant agencies in place. The regulator is now in place. The bulk trader is in place. We have a liability management company that will take over the stranded assets of PHCN. So in terms of the agencies are in place. There are a few knotty issues that still need to be ironed out, like the World Bank PRG. But we are all aware that the World Bank itself has come out to say that they will provide the PRG to deserving projects. So we are moving gradually towards increasing capacity in a significant way. You must also remember that we have the NIPP project, which is set. It's literally completed if you look at some of the status updates from NDPHC. So those projects would take us to about 10,000 megawatts, fingers crossed, by December. Now, so it's achievable.
Now, of course, you're quite optimistic there. Take us through the kind of appetite that there's been from private sector players. We did mention the World Bank. I was having a similar conversation with your counterpart in Kenya yesterday about the World Bank's involvement. And of course, in South Africa, they have been a major financier of Medupi. Talk us through the kind of development finance that you have received and what the private sector players are bringing to the party.
Well, what is happening is that there are essentially 3 levels of capacity addition in Nigeria. So you have the old PHCN assets that have been privatized. They traditionally will bring about 6,000 megawatts to the grid. Those assets have been sold, except for one, except for AFAN. And the new owners are being mandated to rehabilitate the plants and increase capacity. So that's the first track. The second track is that the NIPP assets, which were traditionally to deliver 4,774 megawatts, are to be completed by December of 2013. Now, these are government-funded power projects, which will hopefully, again, fingers crossed, I'm not in the project team, should work out by December. Now, so that's the second track. The third track is IPP, that's fully private sector-led initiatives that are to come on board. Now, the framework traditionally has not been there for those IPPs to thrive. But now, with the reform program, with the World Bank PRG, the stage is now set for proper IPP development with bankable projects and financeable projects in a very short time. The framework is there for them to succeed now.